It's like that meme of the guy and the girl in bed and they're sleeping facing the opposite ways.
Yeah.
And she's like, he's thinking about other girls.
Yeah.
And his cloud bubble is, can't wait till the mock simulator can draft for 7 rounds. That's what I really think of right away.
Welcome to the opening bell of the NFL Stock Exchange podcast. I'm Trevor Sikkema. That is Connor Rogers joining you on a midweek episode where we are getting back to this show's roots. It is a stock watch episode, baby. College football is going on. There's chaos. We're into conference play now. A lot of heated matchups. Connor, it is one hell of a college football slate this weekend, but we're here to talk about some of the guys that have been up and down throughout the season versus our preseason big board. It's gonna be a good time. Connor, how you feel, my friend?
I'm good, man. It was good to catch up on some prospects early in this week, see where, what some of the risers are doing. Some players that maybe we lightly checked in on, some are making appearances as well. New names, as we always do. And like you said, Trevor, it's a good time to do this because it feels like after this weekend, everything else behind it is going to feel like a blur. There's going to be new storylines. There's going to be a top quarterback matchup with Michael Penix and Bo Nix. There's just so much ahead of us that it's a good period of time to do a stock watch.
I was going to mention that game. Dude, we get Oregon versus Washington this weekend, baby. This could be a titanic game for prospect evaluation.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not just Bo Nix versus Michael Penix. I mean, you got the corner from Oregon, Kyrie Jackson, who used to be an Alabama corner, going up against Rome Odunze, Jalen McMillan, Jalen Polk from Washington. You've got Brandon Dorlus, who I really like on the Oregon defensive line, going up against your boy Troy Fatenow on the offensive line for Washington. Like this is a huge prospect matchup. We talk about the Pac-12 kind of like being at its peak right now, right before it's about to go away. This is the matchup that is really cool. I cannot wait for this one, man.
It's must-watch TV. I'll treat this game honestly like I would treat a conference title game. Almost like it's that big of a deal to me. And if, obviously I cover the draft first and foremost compared to actual college football and the draft ramifications. There's never one game in terms of like the draft ramifications all matter from this one game. But in terms of the eyeballs on this game and the long roads that the two quarterbacks have had to get to this point on the national stage, it's a cool one.
Yeah, no, it absolutely is. There's a couple other ones that matter. And I actually didn't plan on doing this at the beginning of the show. We won't go too deep into this, but Caleb Williams goes up against Notre Dame at Notre Dame. That's huge because it feels like, I'm saying it's been a cupcake schedule for Caleb Williams so far, but let's get challenged on the road here, right?
We don't see him in this environment very often, I think, is what you're angling at. I agree.
And he's going up against a really good defensive line. The defensive line is playing really well in Notre Dame, so I think that's going to be a fun one. Miami at UNC, get a little Tyler Van Dyke versus Drake May there. I think that's definitely fun. And then UCLA versus Oregon State. Now, there's a reason why I'm really excited about this one, and I guess we can play that into the beginning of our Stock Watch episode, because the first guy that I'm going to bring to the table, Connor, I'm hijacking it. I know I normally give it to you right off the bat, but I got to hijack it here. Taliese Fuaga, the offensive tackle from Oregon State, going up against Latu from UCLA. These are two of the best prospects that we have in this draft. Now, the stock watch part of it, we've already talked about Latu plenty. You guys heard me talk about him in the preseason format and the preseason shows. I recently moved Latu up to my number one edge rusher position as a top 10 player. And Fuaga is one of those guys who I did not watch before the season. I watched his teammate, Joshua Gray, who was on some NFL draft boards, some early watch lists. So I was like, oh, okay, I'll watch him. He's their left tackle. And when I was watching him, I was kind of underwhelmed by his tape last year. I'm not going to lie. He's playing better this year. I will give him that. But as I watched his tape, I kept going, who is the right tackle? Like, who is this dude on the other side of the line of scrimmage? And I looked up his name, but I did not recognize the name at all whatsoever. I'd not really heard anybody talk about it. And so I didn't really put him on our radar. We're just kind of running through a lot of different guys when it comes to summer scouting. But when we have our watch list, and it's hard to deviate because we're trying to keep a set schedule. I watched him, Connor, and I'm gonna let you know right now, he's in my top 25. I immediately put this dude in my top 25. 6'6", 331 pounds, and he is as much of a eraser and mauler in the run game as you are going to find this year. The PFF grades are so good for this dude across the board this season. I mean,
been insane compared to everyone else.
So if you're listening to this podcast, good chance that you've had at least, 1 ear or 1 eye towards the NFL draft. You've heard about how good Joe Alt has looked this season from Notre Dame. Joe Alt and Taliese Fuaga are neck and neck for number 1 and number 2 graded offensive linemen in the entire FBS. So that tells you what kind of category this dude is in. He's got an 86.4 overall grade, 77.0 pass blocking grade, but a 90.1 run blocking grade. This would be the 3rd straight season in which he has had a overall blocking grade above 80. Every single year this guy has played, whether it was in a reserve role when he was getting limited time as a freshman, or as a full-time starter for the first time last year, of course, this year as well. He has been awesome. He's one of those dudes, Connor, where, first of all, I know I texted you about him. Did you get to watch him? Did you get to watch him? I did.
So he was on my summer watch list, not as a priority watch, only because obviously his teammate, you already said Joshua Gray, and I noticed the run blocking grade over summer where I was like, dang, this guy is, he's really grading out well. Hope he's somebody to keep an eye on as well. And then he didn't make our tackle show in depth. And then you look at him expanding on what he did last year, this year in our system. I just watched some of the impact blocks that he's made. And this is what we would call somebody that can relocate other humans.
Yes. That's a very good way to put it. So to give people a little bit of a behind the scenes look at the PFF Ultimate tool, we have a lot of different ways that the data in the film are categorized. Like you can put a lot of different filters on there to say like, hey, I only want to watch, 3rd down throws for a quarterback where the distance is more than 8 yards or something like that. Or, hey, I just want to watch goal line or short yardage opportunities for running backs, whatever it is. One of the categories that we have that every prospect has this column is they're called key plays. And essentially it's any play that is graded as not 0. So 0 in PFF system is, yeah, you did your job. Like you did what was expected. It was fine. Like you didn't screw up. You didn't make all the difference in the world. Like you did your job on this play individually. But key plays are the really good difference-making plays or the really bad ones. When you grade very highly, you're going to have a lot more key plays that are those major difference-making plays. I went to watch, I cannot remember who they just played this past week, but I went to watch this past week's game of Fuaga. And I start the film watching process, and I'm like 6 plays into it. And I'm like, am I on the key plays category? What's going on? Because he completely erased like four guys in a row on 4 consecutive plays. And I made sure I double checked, and no, I wasn't on the key plays. I was just on the regular plays. And that's what we're talking about here, man. This guy's got people moving strength. And he's got that mentality too. When he throws you to the ground, he does the thing that offensive linemen love to do, where they will finish you to the ground. Where it is, I will throw you to the ground, but then I'm making sure you don't get up. And if the running back happens to be behind me, you're not going to have any chance to get up and tackle this dude. So he's got a finisher's mentality. And then in the pass game, I feel like, okay, he's a little heavy because he's 6'6", 330 pounds. But I thought the handwork was great already. The feet were still nimble for a guy his size. There were times where his hands, like he's baiting rushers that are coming at him to get them to flash their hands first, almost like a ghost move that a pass rusher would do, except he's doing that on the offensive tackle side of things. And it's that stuff that he's showing as just a true junior, along with those physical gifts that tell me this guy can hold up in the NFL. I think from what we have already seen so far this season, he has starting NFL tackle potential. And like I said, I love this tape. I've got him in my top 25 right now. he has a major test against Latu from UCLA, and I'm really looking forward to seeing those two face off this weekend.
I love it. He, like I said, I got to see some of the run blocking film. He is somebody that you can run behind. He can completely erase people in front of him. Seeing him, what we expect to see, plenty of reps on an island against one of the best pass rushers in the country, maybe the most polished pure pass rusher in the country, I think.
I think so too.
Yeah, like I like the upside from an athletic standpoint of Verse and Chop more. But I think if you had to drop one person on an NFL field right now and say beat the NFL tackle, like Latu has the deepest arsenal.
Yeah.
So
the deepest bag, the deepest pass rush bag.
There you go. Absolutely. So that's a great one to call out. And you were texting a little about this guy, over the last couple of days, and he pops. He absolutely pops. And for a lot of teams needing right tackle, what he can do for your run game is it's a total difference maker. And somebody else that's making a giant difference in their run game is USC's MarShawn Lloyd, who arguably is having the best season for a college running back in the country right now. Arguably, there's been plenty of good ones. But when you look at MarShawn Lloyd, who transferred from South Carolina to USC, I mean, he is just completely changed their rushing attack and completely changed his game as well. And I'm sure there's more space for him running in this USC offense. But as much as that's the obvious, Trevor, against Arizona last week, he forced 10 missed tackles. He's already forced 31 missed tackles on the year. And you turn on the tape with this dude, the jump cut is extremely explosive. He has one highlight that I posted on Twitter was that LT style jump cut, right? Where it just totally leaves the defender grasping for air. He looks really explosive when he has to run outside, but I also like the vision and patience to stay inside at times as well. And I think he has pretty good contact balance as well. He looks, for a guy that's 5'9", 210, it feels like his pound for pound strength is extremely effective, where I do see tacklers kind of bounce off of him, especially when they hesitate because of how elusive he could be as well. So when you look at Lloyd, I think he has a little bit of ways to go as a receiving back, staying on the field as a pass protector and overall affecting the game as a receiving back. Although he's made some impressive plays there as well. I just want to see the consistency with it. Mm-hmm. But Trevor, as a pure runner, I've been blown away with what this guy can do. Because it's, didn't watch a ton of him at South Carolina. I know he got a lot of work last year for that team, but he just he feels like he is a totally different player in this USC offense.
He has been one of the top risers from the running back group from those players that we watched over the summer. There's no doubt about that. He's been electric. And, USC's offense is, I don't want to say like it's gimmicky. Like it does. I feel like it does by nature create a lot of space for you because it's so stressful for how they will stretch the field and how they will stretch defenses out. But MarShawn Lloyd is creating on his own. So I don't want people to just be like, yeah, he's a back in USC system. Like it's not going to translate. He's still making guys miss and he's still got that athletic ability. So this dude was a former 4-star recruit, ended up going to South Carolina. They were really excited about him. And he tore his ACL and missed his entire first season with South Carolina because of that injury. Then, of course, you know how it is when you're recovering from an ACL injury. All right, well, then 2021 was kind of just I'm trying to get trust back in that knee. Last year was certainly his best year, and then he transfers over to USC from South Carolina, and we're seeing the best version of MarShawn Lloyd right now. So, I absolutely love the shout out. I think that's a good one. I got two more running backs that I'd love to throw out at you that have really been standing out in college football to me. The first one is Jonathon Brooks from Texas. I did not watch Jonathon Brooks going into the year.
Neither did I. I've only seen him on the broadcast.
He was just a redshirt sophomore going into this year. He's a redshirt sophomore right now. So I'm like, all right, well, we didn't know a lot about this player. There's no telling if he's going to break out. And even as just a redshirt sophomore with as good of a year as he is having, there's no guarantee that he is going to declare for the draft. But 6 foot tall, 205 pounds, 73rd percentile in height, 26th percentile in weight. I did some background digging on him because I like to fill out the little background section of the scouting report when I'm getting guys for the first time. So he was a former 4-star running back from the state of Texas. How about this? Rushed for 3,500 yards, which is 7th most all time in Texas history, and 62 touchdowns.
That's insanity.
62 touchdowns in a high school career. Like, I know
I
it's
got
high
bored
school,
of scoring. He probably ran out of celebrations after 28. He just hands the ball to the ref and goes, "All right, I'm ready to go eat
He's
dinner."
a little younger. He's probably got those the Fortnite animations, down
every
school,
emote or whatever it is.
Right.
Yeah.
So how about this though? In one game, he rushed for 27. He had 27 rushing attempts, 501 rushing yards, which was 18.6 yards per carry, and 9 touchdowns in a playoff game. 500 yards, dude. 9 touchdowns on 27 carries in a playoff game.
That's absurd. It's just truly absurd.
I had to say it on the show. No, but he is playing great here for Texas. I think they're leaning on him very well. I personally wondered what Texas run game was going to look like. Not that it's a poverty program in any shape or form. I mean, they get good recruits, but you're not only losing Bijan Robinson, you're losing Roschon Johnson as well, which was somebody who people touted as, hey, if Roschon wasn't at Texas, he'd be an RB1 so many other places in the country.
Right.
And when you lose both of those guys, that's kind of tough. So Brooks takes over now as the redshirt sophomore, and he's just playing very, very well. He's playing well with his offensive line and independent of his offensive line. He's got a 0.35 forced missed tackles per attempt average. I just think that he has a really nice combination of all-around athletic ability, and the vision and confidence are getting even better. Those early games that he was playing so far this season, you could tell it was basically like, all right, I'm following my offensive line here no matter what. And there's a little bit of that still, but man, recently you could tell he's getting a little bit more confident on, okay, I'm gonna cut back here. Here's a zone flow, and I got enough confidence to cut back because I think this is where the space is going to be. Or you see him be a little bit more nimble on his feet with that really good size. So I'm seeing these flashes of him to be a fantastic all-around back as we are moving forward. So a young player, but somebody who I wanted to shout out on this show who's having a really good year.
No, I love it. I love what you brought up of how he's looked different as he's gotten more touches, because I see the confidence that you're seeing on the broadcast is that, he's interesting. I didn't know that about his high school background, Trevor, and I'm glad you brought it up. But you look at him, I mean, combining 2021 and 2022, he's had 51 carries. So he's been, whatever you want to call it, sitting in rice, or, he's cold. Like he's coming into the year as a starter, ice cold, after being somebody that never didn't have the ball in high school. And then it's 2 years of not really ever getting the ball. And I think that's really important to keep an eye on how that confidence grows throughout the season as the guy after really having 2 years off. And I see what you see as somebody that is more confident going out of scheme when he needs to, or trying to get a little bit more meat off the bone at times as well. And it's easy to see when somebody has their confidence in the legs under them, they look more explosive, and he's looked more explosive. So I really like that one as well. Did you want to do your second running back, or do you want to ping pong back to me? I'd like to keep the running backs all together, because these are guys that like we didn't talk about over summer, and they just look awesome.
Ray Davis from Kentucky.
So I haven't seen a lot of him.
Dude, I unfortunately saw way too much of him because he ran for 280 yards against my Florida Gators, and it was tough watch for me. But obviously, Ray is having a hell of a year, and Ray's been on quite the journey. So he is a redshirt senior now with Kentucky. He's 5'10", 215 pounds. So he's a little bit bigger of a back. 3-star running back recruit out of New Jersey. But man, I mean, his story starts before he was a high school player in New Jersey, coming from New Jersey. He was born in San Francisco. He has 14 different siblings. spent time in foster care and even homeless shelters as a child due to both of his parents being incarcerated throughout his childhood. And so this guy he's got an incredible story that I encourage everybody to go look up and to read, because people have done much better and deeper journalism on the true appreciation of where Ray Davis has come in life to even get to this point. And just kind of as a SparkNotes version of it, with so much chaos and uncertainty going on in his life growing up, he really just went to sports as those like moments to look forward to in the week and throughout the day and everything. And really, there was a point in one of the stories I was reading that he just wanted to essentially get to high school just to play high school sports. And like, then that was going to be it. But like, that was his goal. Like his goal wasn't college football. It wasn't the NFL. Like he literally just wanted to get into a high school so that he could keep playing sports and they just could keep playing football. And obviously, like he ends up becoming a 3-star recruit in football. He starts his career at Temple, plays for Temple, plays there for 2 years, ends up going to Vanderbilt, transferring to Vanderbilt. He played for Vanderbilt the last 2 seasons, and now he is with Kentucky. And man, this dude is fun to watch. I mean, as if the 280 yards against one opponent wouldn't tell you that already. I mean, he's averaging more than 0.3 missed tackles forced per attempt. He's got over 64 yards after contact. This guy's contact balance is fantastic. Not only do I think he's got good vision to make sure he can avoid that contact, which he did plenty of times against Florida, when he does go up against different tacklers, he's got a really nice center of gravity, really good core strength, and his balance is fantastic. That's a trait that I love for a running back. More than 64% of his yards right now have come after contact. And then when you look at the previous seasons, and let's face it, playing at Temple, all due respect, Temple and Vanderbilt, not the best offensive lines in the world. More than 70% of his yards every single year up to this year have come after contact. So this is a dude that what I'm trying to say is Arthur Smith's going to draft in round 3 somewhere, or
will vulture touchdowns from
Bijan or somebody is drafting this dude who's going to absolutely pound the rock. But it's more than just that. He's got a really nice yards per route run average. He had 38 targets last year in the receiving game. I think he's already got 16 this year, and he's doubled his yards per route run this year, and how Kentucky is using him and leaning on him. So we're getting the best version of this dude as a redshirt senior. And I know some people look at running backs who are upperclassmen and they shy away. They're like, no, I'm not really interested. If you're not, 21 as a running back, I'm not really interested in you. Davis has the type of story, running style, production, everything of a back that I don't think he's threatened in the first round or anything, but anywhere from the mid rounds, I think this guy could have his name called and could be a really nice part of an NFL committee.
That's a fun one. I always like the guys that not only come from adversity like that, which is really sad, but really impressive, but also it's taken them a while to get that recognition, right? We live in a world where, especially with the coverage nowadays, we see a 5-star recruit, he commits somewhere, and then by his sophomore year, he could be a national name. And then before that junior year, you're already declaring him a top 10 pick in the draft, and that college career is already over. And good for the players that can do that. But how about the guys that are redshirt seniors and have to kind of, fight it out to even be drafted or break into a camp and find that NFL career? And that is clearly a player like that.
Yeah,
right now.
And I think that Ray Davis is absolutely one of those players. Hey, we'll get to your next one, but this time of year, everybody knows it's about setting up that routine, that checklist, whether it's to back to school, you're getting the work grind ready, whether it's, handling things for your family, whatever it is, you're setting up your checklist of what you want to get done. And the most important thing on that checklist should always be securing your family's financial future, starting with life insurance. Fabric by Gerber Life makes it quick and easy and affordable to protect your family so you can get back to enjoying life. It was designed by parents for parents to help you get high quality, surprisingly affordable term life insurance in less than 10 minutes. Fabric's got flexible policies that fit your family and your budget, with quality policies like $1 million coverage for less than $1 a day. You can get your personalized quote in just minutes and then apply when it's convenient for you, all online and in your schedule. You can go from start to covered in less than 10 minutes with no health exam required. Join the thousands of parents who trust Fabric to protect their family. Apply today in just minutes at meetfabric.com/stock exchange. That's MEET fabric.com/stock exchange. Policies issued by Western and Southern Life Assurance Company. Not available in certain states. Price is subject to underwriting and health questions. All right, Connor, who you got next?
How about Steve Linton, the pass rusher from Texas Tech that transferred from Syracuse? And this is somebody that we probably briefly mentioned over the summer. Is not like some shocking name out of nowhere, but he definitely fits the mold of, he's had a long road to get here. Mm-hmm. He, in 4 years at Syracuse, Trevor had 5 sacks. Last week against Baylor, he had 3.
He had 3 against Baylor? I haven't checked in on him, so that's incredible.
I've kind of been waiting for this week because tracking Linton's progress throughout the year, he is winning, notably as a stand-up rusher, at an effective rate. His total pass rush win rate this year is 18.2%. But weeks, his first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games, he didn't have a sack. He was just generating pressure. And that's still effective. It still, gets the job done, but you want to finish those plays. Mm-hmm. And then against Baylor, those pressures, it all just kind of clicked together, and he was just getting there a hair quicker, and he has the 3 sacks. And here's the thing with Linton, right? Like, you watch his full tape, he's not going to be this every down kind of player. I don't think he's a particularly effective run defender. He is a stand-up situational pass rusher that has some tools at 6'5", 235. But what I like this year, Trevor, in the role that Tech kind of has him playing, it kind of feels like maybe this was part of him transferring there. They're like, we know what you are. We think you have some tools and you can stand up on the edge from some wide alignments and really rush on an island, and we're going to let you do that. And he's trying things. He's trying a spin move. We've seen the arm over. We've seen the long arm. They've got him going on stunts because of the type of athlete he is. And it's okay to see a prospect that has limitations. You're not drafting him saying one day he's going to play 75% of the snaps in our defense. But maybe you take him on day 3 of the draft and you go on 3rd and long. Like, if you're a team that plays with the lead a lot, we got a dude that can come in our NASCAR package and kind of make things happen. And he's got a different array of moves, and he's got an experience as this stand-up athlete rusher. So Linton's an interesting guy to track, because even when you look at him before he transferred to Tech from Syracuse, you go, man, there's some tools there as an effective pass rusher, but we just haven't seen it really turn into down-by-down production. And it was good for him last week having those 3 sacks, because the underlying numbers were there of beating the defenders in front of him, but now he gets it in the traditional box score.
Yeah, no, it's good to see. I just as you were talking, I was kind of going over my notes of him from the summer, and it was a lot of what you were saying. It was a lot of, hey, this player is probably a specialized guy at the NFL level. He's not going to be called on as a run defender, just because, if you're even a stand-up outside linebacker, you're sitting around 230, 235, whatever he's weighing now. That's still really light for the NFL. And just as a run defender, it's going to be hard to kind of hold your own. But on those special packages, I do agree. I think that there's absolutely a space for that as you are building out your roster. And it might not be something that gets drafted above the 3rd round, but when you are rounding out your team, you want guys like that you can be able to throw at the line of scrimmage. So I definitely like that one. Did you watch him for summer? I can't remember. Did you have him ranked?
A little bit, because I remember.
Do you like him a little more now? You think he's playing a little bit better now?
I do. I think I think he's getting an opportunity. That's really what it is to me. Okay. Not that I'm not saying Syracuse misused him or anything, but it just feels like for Tech has a total understanding by year 5 of what he is, and they're maximizing that. So
it's fair.
I don't see him as somebody like challenging to be a top edge rusher in this class, but a depth guy with tools that is also expanding his moves package. He is somebody I will follow to the very end, and I think we'll see him at the Senior Bowl, which is always one of my favorite parts of the draft process, more for entertainment, is those one-on-ones where we're down on the field.
Yes.
And it's where we got to see Darnell Wright last year, and Will McDonald,
Jawan Jones, Will Donald.
It was pretty freaking cool part of the process. And Steve Linton, I think, will have his moments there.
When you do have those specialized guys, when you get into those one-on-one situations, sometimes sometimes you can make for some pretty good social media clips when that's the case.
Yes,
so
yes.
Steve Linton might be one of those guys.
Get your retweets from Steve Linton.
Yeah, I will look. I'll Venmo him whatever Twitter sends me that month if he contributes to the engagement. I really will.
I forgot you're a verified.
I am. Yeah. Through PFF, by the way. I don't pay for it myself, but look.
Hey, collect those checks.
We're out here collecting those checks. Look, those $18 checks. I mean, they hit
from
hard,
memes.
Baby. Yeah, I the second I get them, I head to Chipotle and I go, yeah, I don't care.
Double meat.
We're going Karlaftis. We're ordering the Karlaftis today, baby. Twitter's paying for this bad boy.
You bring your forklift with you and you order the Karlaftis and bring it home, and you got rice for 4 months.
Okay, so I'll stick along the edge rush train here. And I want to shout out, man, we highlighted Latu at the top of the show, an edge rusher that I absolutely love. Well, his teammate Gabriel Murphy is also having another really nice year, because he had a nice year last year as well. Former North Texas transfer, 6'3", round 255, 260. But man, when I watch UCLA, especially their defensive line, I don't know who their defensive line coach is, but he needs a raise. The way that Latu and Murphy, I would say, subtly yet precisely disengage the hands of the offensive tackles in front of them. It's like they're so rarely locked up. The hands are always moving. They're swiping these things away. And Murphy, all that to say, Murphy is that kind of a player right now. His pass rush win percentage over the last 2 years since he transferred from North Texas to UCLA, it was 18.6 last year. He had 248 pass rush snaps. And through 87 pass rush snaps this year, he's upped it even a little bit more into the 20s. Now he's got a 20.7 pass rush win percentage and a 24.1 pressure percentage, which is also up from what it was last year. So, man, I just don't think this guy's getting enough love. And it's not like they play him in specific situations where it's very obvious where his strengths are able to win. Dude, I'm watching the game against Washington State last week, and they got Murphy lined up at 4-eye in a tight formation. Like, they got him standing up over the nose. So he'll play 3-4 outside linebacker for UCLA, but they get very creative with where they play their guys. And I'm very shocked that they play Murphy between the tackles as much as they do, because he looks and feels like a player who you would just want to have attack the outside shoulder of offensive tackles. And it's very clear that they trust him more than that. So he's not afraid to play inside. You can kick him outside, which I think is going to be his normal home as a 3-4 outside linebacker. But I don't think he's getting enough love, man. I think I really do feel like he is a mid-round pick type of a player who maybe not as specialized as the billing is on him right now. I think he's more of an all-around defensive lineman than that. So I'm just very impressed with his production once again this year.
And he's been a player for that program, for a couple of years now, where when you look at that side of it too, I mean, it's not like this is just, it has come out of nowhere in terms of what he looks like now. But he's another one that, you could also kind of be overshadowed by your teammate in that situation. And
right.
Those are always interesting to me when you have a superstar on one front, but then it's like, hey, don't overlook this dude that can also play. He's not just getting cleanup production from that other player too.
Yeah.
So I like that. I like that shout out from you and somebody that I will definitely keep an eye on this year.
Yeah.
My last one, or second to last one here, is definitely the most high profile name, I think.
Oh, saving the best for last. Look at you.
Second to last.
Sorry, second to last. Oh, yeah, you got two more after this. Okay.
Yeah. Ohio State corner Denzel Burke.
Nice.
Who, had his big moment with that hit that I saw you repost as well. I mean, that was a bone crushing hit, not soul crushing. This is time for bone crushing.
Right. Very reminiscent of Denzel Ward's hit.
Very, which is kind of funny.
If you play corner for Ohio State and your name's Denzel, you are going to get an absolute bone crushing hit on a wide receiver at some point in your Buckeyes career.
Burke's really becoming one of the more interesting defensive backs in this class to me rapidly, right? Because you look at him going all the way back to his background, his recruiting profile. He was a 4-star recruit. He was top 10 in his position group in that class, which was athlete, right? Nobody really knew exactly where he would land in the college level because in high school, he played receiver and defensive back. And he was really effective, honestly, as an offensive player as well. The problem is he basically misses his senior season due to injury. Plays one game of senior season, misses the rest of his year, and was still a 4-star recruit. So this is a big time player. You look at the length, 6'1". He's very, very athletic. He's got good size for the position. Ohio State brings him in, and they're like, okay, you're going to be a corner. And he's somebody that played right away for them and looked really, really good as a freshman, right? And then you look at 2022, some inconsistencies, but it feels like this year for Denzel Burke, it's all starting to sink in about him being a cornerback, right? He's got the length, he's got the speed, he can turn and run, he can close down and make hits underneath as well. I think he's got some ball skills. I mean, when you just look at the film and track some of the numbers here, he's only allowed 11 catches on 26 catchable targets, and he's forced 8 incompletions. So this is somebody that is extremely disruptive at the catch point right now. Once again, I love the size. We talk about the top corners in this draft all the time, whether it's Kalen King, Kool-Aid McKinstry, Cooper DeJean, but I'm starting to see the back end around one with TJ Tampa and Denzel Burke, and that could also be top 40, top 50. But there are corners on the back end that are really good athletes that are finding the football this year that have unique backgrounds. Burke being that athlete as a recruit, Tampa having a basketball background, that it feels like it's starting to click for them this year. And I would bet on the athletes with size at the position that are starting to find the football. Burke's going to be a really, really big riser this year. And at the rate he's going, he could genuinely play himself into the first round.
Burke was talked about as a potential first round pick going into this season. And I remember you and I watching his film this summer, and correct me if I'm wrong, but when I was ranking him, I certainly remember saying on the pod, like, I don't see that from his.
He had a bad 2022. It was a fall off from 21.
And I don't really know why. Was he hurt?
I mean, maybe. College is weird because, like, you could, if you know somebody at the school, obviously we don't release this kind of info, you can get better stories, but publicly you don't really. I mean, look at Travion Henderson last year. It's like, oh, cool, he was playing with a broken foot at running back.
Yeah, sure, right.
Like, this is kind of the problem with college injuries. It kind of falls into the bucket that hockey injuries do, where it could be like, hey, he's got a lower body. Thanks. Yeah. Did he stub his toe or did he tear his ACL?
Yeah, like, or did his leg get blown off by a grenade? You know, like, I mean, which one is?
Dude, it's nuts.
You'll never know until the playoffs are over. You'll never know.
But more often than not, when a guy has that kind of drop off of a year, there's something you don't know.
Yeah, I just wonder if he was not healthy, because he looked way more confident as a freshman, which maybe it was one of those things where, I guess I'll call it blind confidence. Like, hey, I'm at Ohio State now. I'm balling out. I'm playing corner. They moved me to corner. This is my position. And maybe he just didn't get challenged a ton that freshman year. So he was just riding high the whole year. And then that sophomore year, okay, he's a full-time starter now. Now they're starting to throw the ball at him. He's starting to lose some of those one-on-ones, and maybe the confidence dipped. But I did notice, because again, I went back in my summer scouting notes as you were talking about him. I noted that I would say the last quarter of the season in 2022, Burke looked better. So I wonder if he was healthy. I wonder if he was hurt in the early parts of the year, and then he was healthy at the back end part of the year, because this year, again, we are seeing a much more confident player. And I don't know if he's going to be a first rounder. I got to really go back and do a deep dive on him. I've seen a little bit of it. I've watched a game of him, but I want to be able to watch more than that. But he is one of the risers that I've had on the PFF big board this year, because of how well even he's been playing from the little bit that I've been able to watch. Hey, this podcast is brought to you by our friends over at Prizepicks. Connor and I have 2 prize pick entries for you that we're going to pitch and talk about here, so that you guys can understand what Prizepicks is all about, what we're kind of shouting out here and why it would actually behoove y'all to get in on the action. Connor said he had a little bit, he had some, moderate and humble success at Prizepicks.
Yeah, moderate is a good way to put it.
No, the man's rich. The man's
ask me in 3 months if
rich.
Any of the money's still there.
That's why he moved locations, folks, is because now he's in a ranch-style mansion next to Central Park because of the success that he's had on. No.
It's
but
true.
Prizepicks is a very fun way to kind of to get skin in the game and have some fun with NFL games. So, Connor, give me 2 Prizepick entries that you're looking at this week. Let's just focus on Thursday Night Football. In the weeks that follow, we'll open it up a little bit. We'll talk about the Sunday games, but let's just focus on Thursday Night Football. What are 2 entries that you like?
I like the slogan that you just reinvented for Prizepicks. Prizepicks, it could change your life. Yeah, I think it's really good. Okay, so 2 entries I'm looking at. You and I have decided we're going to focus on Thursday this week. In the future, we'll open it up to a lot of different games here. I'm going to look at the 2 of the running backs in this game. And with Jerick McKinnon, his receiving yards entry is set at 13.5. I'm going to take more than that.
Okay.
Rather than
more.
I think McKinnon, this is what the Chiefs do. They kind of, preserve McKinnon. They don't need to use him a lot. I could see him getting that off of 1 catch, though, in this game. And then on the other side with Javonte Williams to the Broncos, I'm going to go less on his rushing yards that are at 35.5. I think Javonte is clearly trying to work his way back from injury. I think the Chiefs are going to really force the Broncos to throw in this game. It's not like Jaleel McLaughlin where it's like, oh man, that one sweep he had, he went for 40 yards. And nothing against Javonte, who's still working his way back into being his top form. I just like the less on his rushing yards, Trevor.
Okay. All right. That's not good for my fantasy team, but maybe it'll be good for your wallet there. So I will talk about, for my 2, the most intriguing ones. I'll go opposite ends in the spectrum for the potential trade target receivers that the Broncos have going up against the Chiefs here. For Courtland Sutton, his receptions are 3.5. I'm going less.
I like that. I would go with that as well.
I mean, his targets are trending in the wrong direction over the last couple of weeks. I didn't love the body language even that I saw from him. It feels
Jets
like
game was bad.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like he's got that fire lit underneath him. And I think Jerry Jeudy will. All right, Jerry Jeudy, the receiving yards 52.5. He's been close to it the last couple of weeks. He had 50 receiving yards and then 52. So this is a good line. But I'm going more. I'm going more than 52.5 receiving yards for Jeudy. He's going to see the opportunity to get dealt to a better situation, and he's going to ride high. He's going to make it happen. He's basically going to put his resume out there and ask for the Dolphins to please trade for him. That's what he's doing.
And that's a good one. I'm with you on, I think you're thinking the right thing there, because when you look at the Chiefs, as good of a defense that they have, they've been vulnerable in the slot before, and I feel like Jeudy does get some time in the slot. He gets a lot of time in the slot this year.
Right.
He's playing in the slot 70% of the time.
Which he should.
He should.
That's his skill set.
Yeah. So I mean, compared to last year, he was in the slot only 54% of the time. So big jump up.
We gotta get those numbers up.
Yeah, we gotta pump up those numbers.
So anybody that has not caught on yet, a Prizepicks, it's a skill-based, real money, daily fantasy sports game. That's what it is. How does it work? Well, you pick 2 to 6 players, and if they will go more or less than their Prizepick projections, well, that's where you can win up to 25 times your money on any entry. At Prizepicks, you aren't competing against other people. It's just you versus the Prizepick projections. Entries can be made in 60 seconds or less. It is that easy. They're even offering frequent discounts, bonuses, and other exciting offers. Go to prizepicks.com/NFLSE. Use the promo code NFLSE for a first deposit match up to $100. So we're going to be talking about these things. I know. So we're going to be talking about these Prizepick selections or entries throughout the season. So y'all go get that $100 match. Use the promo code NFLSE. Prizepicks.com/NFLSE. Use the promo code NFLSE. Get the deposit match up to $100. All right, I can't remember. Well, go ahead.
I'm pretty sure Prizepicks they do 40-yard dash times before the combine. So if that promo code's still working, then we'll have a field day. You and I can sit here and do 3 shows on 40 times.
The combine,
like
the combine pick episode is actually going to have some cheddar cheese on it.
Right.
Thanks to our friends over at Prizepicks. Yeah. Who's your last guy? Go your last guy.
Okay. So I always like to do on these. I like to throw in a name that there's probably like 4 people in the country talking about, and 3 of them are definitely fans of the school, and then just I try
and then
I try for it to be me. So how about Michigan tight end AJ Barner? Okay, obviously not somebody that is a big focal point of their receiving game. He is 6'6". He's 250 pounds. He transferred from Indiana, where he did catch 3 touchdowns last year, and it was the team captain. Michigan obviously runs the absolute hell out of the football, and they got a good offensive line. Zach Zinner's been a really good run blocker this year. Again, no surprise. This dude, AJ Barner, though, is a key cog in their run game. He really, really is. I got to watch his run blocking tape just because, once again, this is another guy that pops on Ultimate when you look at you explained it really well before, Trevor, of 0 graded plays. Like you did your job, it didn't overly impact the play for negative or positive reasons.
Mm-hmm.
Barner, just in the run game, and he's had 124 run blocking snaps. He's had what Ultimate would define as impact blocks, I believe 30 plus times or something like that.
30%. Is it 30% or 30? Just whatever.
I think 31 of those snaps. So you're looking probably closer to 25-ish%, which is still
that's 25 is really good.
It's really, really good. And I'll pull up the exact number before I close the book on him here. But he's had 17 pass blocking snaps, hasn't surrendered to pressure, and then exactly 25% of his run blocking snaps out of 124, he's had a positive impact block. And I mean, he's really strong. He plays with really good leverage considering his height. He moves well. He's a good athlete for his size. He's a tough guy in the trenches. He finishes blocks. He keeps his feet moving through blocks. He climbs the linebackers. But I'll tell you this, they put him on the line of scrimmage, and he'll just go helmet to helmet against true defensive line players as well. Oh, yeah. It's not just, hey, I got the 225-pound linebacker I'm climbing to. So Barner, the reality is these are the guys that do not get discussed at all during the draft process because it's just, but there are guys that hang around the league for 10 years as a tight end 2 or 3 because they can block and they're big enough to have an impact in the red zone if need be on wide open routes. So Barner deserves some love. That transfer from Indiana is working out really well for him and really well for Michigan. Coming over as a team captain, obviously a really good sign for his draft pedigree as well. And he's somebody that will find a way into this tight end class as a true wide tight end.
Love it. Now I love the shout out. Love it. Now it's more than 4 people.
Now you won't hear his name until pick 234 in April.
AJ Barner, you are pick 234.
To the Houston Texans.
Oh, Houston Texans. I actually like that. All right, last guy that I'm going to bring to the table. I don't think I've talked about him here on the show before. Jaylin Simpson, the defensive back from Auburn. I don't think that we've talked about him yet.
We haven't.
He's going off. There's no other way to say it. 4 interceptions, big time interceptions, massive playmaker. Because of that, he has earned an elite 91.3 coverage grade this season. He is Auburn's safety, 6'1". Actually, let me make sure I get the measurements right here because I think they're a little different than what Auburn has. 6 feet tall. So he's 6 feet tall, 180 pounds. Now, unfortunately, for a safety, which he's playing now, 6 feet tall is the 34th percentile. 180 pounds for a safety is the 1st percentile. There are not many safeties who are that light. And the reason why he is that light is because he is a former cornerback. He basically, in his entire career before this point, played corner for Auburn, and it was mainly as an outside corner. He played not much his true freshman season in 2019. I think he redshirted that year. 2020, he played 189 snaps at wide corner. The next closest was 14 snaps as a box defender. Then he played 511 snaps on the outside in 2021. Next closest was 15 as a slot corner, so not even close. Last year, he played 235 as a wide corner, a little bit more action in the slot and in the box. But then this past year, most of his snaps have come as a box safety or a free safety. Now, a lot of his work, again, has been highlighted by the 4 interceptions that he has in coverage, which have been highly impactful plays. He's also only given up 32 yards in coverage. The issue with Simpson, and kind of the reason why I wanted to bring him up on this show, because a lot of people are like, hey, is this dude a top safety in the draft or what? I don't think so, because the run defense grades and the pass rush grades are low because just the body size is so low. This is somebody who I think they moved him to safety because, and I watched a little bit of his tape last year to see why they might have made the move. He is a good athlete, but he's not very comfortable playing with his back to the ball. And Auburn is a pretty aggressive scheme of you are on the outside. We're either playing you in man coverage or you're like in off cover 3. And I think he was a lot better in off cover 3 because when they tried to play him in press coverage at the line of scrimmage, he just did not look nearly as comfortable in trail technique and when playing with his back to the ball. So it's tough to continue to throw corners on the outside when they don't feel that comfortable, knowing that if you play a lot of man coverage, that's just what you're going to have to be in. You've got to be comfortable in trail technique. You've got to be good at reading the eyes and the body language of the receiver to know when the ball is kind of coming your way without even looking at it. You can't have that panic. And it just felt like Jaylin just didn't have that confidence playing with his back to the ball. So they move him to safety. And because he is able to keep his eyes downhill and where the ball is with the quarterback, he's been able to bait them a lot more, go and throw his body in front of these passes for interceptions. And it's been working out really well in coverage, as you would hope would be the case for a former corner who is now playing more as a safety. But there are deficiencies in the run game and in the strength portion of the game. And when those interceptions stop showing up basically every week like they have so far this season, what kind of a safety prospect is Jaylin Simpson? And we'll see. You know, if you are just straight up an interception machine, like we talk about Kalen Bullock like that, right? From USC, where his run defense scores and his tackling, not good, but his range is so nuts and his ball skills are so crazy. And he's got so many damn interceptions over the last 2 years that you almost go, okay, I guess we're just going to have to live with it. So it's essentially, is Jaylin Simpson going to be what Kalen Bullock is, or is it really going to cool on him? I think that's what the second half of the season is going to be for him.
That's always the tough part, right? Is the feast or famine nature at a position that you can't deal with some of the famine at times. Right. I think we have this conversation
that's a really
a lot,
good point.
Right? It's like there's positions that you can have high variance, and I'm trying to think of a good example of a position. Honestly, pass rusher. Like there's guys I would throw on the field and be like, man, honestly, this dude is not going to set a great edge all the time, but he is so effective at getting after the quarterback that we can live with that. But offensive line and safety, when you talk about variance, like when your bad is really, really bad, the play's over. The play is over because of you.
Right.
So
right.
It's a weird balance. Not to just knock the dude like that. I don't mean it like that, but it's how I look at scouting positions and from previous misses or what you learn and things like that.
Yeah, no, I would agree. And I'm not totally trying to like kill the scouting report either. It was just when we do these stock watch episodes, it's more of a, we're bringing this guy to the table. Here's what we kind of need to see from him as the year goes on. And again, if Simpson continues to be this interception machine and he's just reading quarterbacks' minds as a back end player, that's extremely valuable. That is something that, okay, maybe he's a little high variance, but like Kalen Bullock, you're still probably a top 50 player because of how you can impact the game with turnovers. And every coach in the world tells you that that's what matters most. So I think that's kind of where the conversation starts when it comes to what Jaylin Simpson has been this season. We're brought to you today by our friends over at Manscaped, who have taken a step up from Balloween to bring your face the cleanest shave it's ever seen. So this season, no need to get into trouble and toil, Manscaped's all-new Handyman is the best way to get rid of that stubble. Featuring a compact design and next-gen skin-safe technology, the Handyman was designed to give you that smooth finish without the mess of a traditional shave. Get the sweetest treat this Halloween by going to manscaped.com, using the promo code PFF for 20% off plus free shipping. Manscaped's product, it really is, man. It'll change your life. It'll make it so shaving, if you hate shaving right now, it'll make it so that will not be the case moving forward. There's no tugs, there's no tears. It's always an even clean shave. It always feels good. It's never too rough on you. So it may be spooky season, but you don't want to scare people with the scraggly beard this year. Give them something to look at with Manscaped's Handyman. If you're tired of bad razor marks on your neck, looking like a scary movie, well, the Handyman skin safe technology will help reduce the nicks and cuts to make sure that you are feeling confident when you go for that close shave. For wet or dry use, feel free to bring this anywhere and everywhere. The compact design and airplane friendliness make it the perfect travel bag for on the go as well. So that is a massive plus if you are trying to travel and make sure that like, oh, I know I'm going to have to shave right in the middle of the trip. Manscaped's got you with a really great product. Get 20% off and free shipping with the promo code PFF at manscaped.com. That is 20% off with free shipping over at manscaped.com. Use the promo code PFF for a look as sweet as candy this year. Halloween theme. I like it. Get yourself the Handyman from our friends over at Manscaped. Kind of tame Manscaped ad. It's to the point, though. It's topical.
Yeah, Balloween wasn't enough for you?
No, but,
you're right. By their standards, no, that is completely justified. By their standards, I'm not going to make any jokes. I'm a changed man.
Right. That's true. No. The product is great, and I always look forward to reading those ads because it's creative one way or the other. That's why Manscaped's a great company.
It catches your attention. Like, imagine listening to a podcast and the first thing you hear is about Halloween. Like, you're like, I gotta know what's next.
That's true. And that's why people listen
well done.
to all that. So that is the Stockwatch episode. Let us know what you have seen in college football over the last couple of weeks. We would love to hear their prospects that are going up and down. I'm updating the PFF draft board to 200 players after this weekend. So if you are a mock draft simulator user, you will soon have the ability to look at a list of 200 ranked players for the 2024 NFL draft, which will also unlock a 5th round in the mock draft simulator. So if you are a PFF subscriber, you will be able to draft up to 5 rounds. You degenerates. We're handing it to you. We're giving it to you.
It's like that meme. It's like that meme of the guy and the girl in bed and they're sleeping facing the opposite ways.
Yeah.
And she's like, he's thinking about other girls. Yeah. And his cloud bubble is, can't wait till the mock simulator can draft for 7 rounds. That's what I really think of right away with that.
We're trying to get there. I'm trying to get there. I'm trying to watch as many players as possible.
It's sickening. You're at a great pace. You should be proud of yourself.
We got to rank a lot of guys to unlock 7 rounds, but we will get there before the season is over.
Yeah,
I believe in this. But yeah, let us know what you guys have thought over college football, what you've seen, some of these prospects, whether it's players that we have mentioned or players that we haven't mentioned here on the show. We'd love to hear from you. YouTube.com/@NFL Stock Exchange, the best way for you to be able to do that. If you are not on YouTube or listening to this audio only, at Tampa Bay Trey and at Connor J. Rogers is where you can hit us up on X and Instagram. Connor, you got anything else before we get out of here?
I think that sums it up pretty well. I'm trying to think next week is where we plan the shows on the show, which we are absolutely phenomenal at. I feel like we'll keep What Matters Most going.
Yeah, I think so. I think we'll do it. I think we'll do that again.
And then Wednesday, leave in the comments what you want. If you want a notes episode where we hold up topics, if you want a stock watch, if you want,
what we could do. You know what we could do.
A lot we could do.
There's as more people have been using the mock draft simulator, there's more data on which players have been selected the most for each team. So I think that whether we do it on Wednesday or some other time, we could have like this update of like fan base trends, like who these fan bases are drafting for these certain players, for these certain teams.
Totally down with that. I think it's a great time to do it. And then it's something we could look back on a couple months later and see how things change.
All right. So, well, if you guys like that idea, let us know. We could also do the no notes thing. I think we'll bring that back no matter what. So whether it's next week or whenever we do it, but y'all are in control of the show as much as us. So let us know what you want to see on Wednesday. We'll probably have What Matters Most coming up on Monday. Got that to look forward to. I'm Trevor Sikkema. That is Connor Rogers. Thank you guys so much for watching and listening to the NFL Stock Exchange podcast. See you on Monday.